Waypoint is the most powerful and flexible intelligent mode available on DJI prosumer drones. The Mini 5 Pro introduced a few new features for this outstanding functionality. In this video, I will show you all you need to know to make the most of this excellent tool. And I will explain why beginners and casual users should learn how to use it. Waypoint works by creating missions based on several points. For each point, the aircraft position, its elevation, and the camera orientation are stored in memory. The system manages the transition between points with precision, supporting the smooth execution of advanced maneuvers. Each mission can be saved in memory to be used in various light conditions in different seasons with other exposure values or color profiles. Waypoint missions can be created on-site by flying to each point or remotely using the maps. I will only show you the first method as it is easier to set up and yields better results as we can visualize each point. It is also safer as we can spot any surrounding obstacles. We access Waypoint mode by the icon on the left of the screen, just above the one for takeoff. For videography, it is preferable to have only a few points, generally no more than 4. For simple moves, 2 points are sometimes all that is needed. I want to show this village on the foothills of Mount Etna in Sicily, and then descend and move to the left, while the camera rotates to the right and tilts up to reveal Mount Etna. The first step is setting the exposure. Since the shots will alternate between the ground and the sky, it is best to use manual exposure to prevent sudden changes in brightness. I fly to the right of the village at medium altitude, frame the central square and press the C1 button on the controller to set the first point, or the FN button if using the RCN3 controller. I then fly to the left, rise to the maximum altitude, advance and tilt down the gimbal for a top-down view of the center of the village. An alternative way to add the point is to open the small windows on the lower part of the screen and tap on the plus sign next to the previous point. Then I fly backwards and to the left while lowering the altitude. Rotate the camera and adjust the gimbal orientation to frame Mount Etna. I set the third and final point here. We can adjust the mission global settings by tapping on Next to the right of the window. I increase the global speed to around 9 meters per second. We can specify the action to take at the end of the flight and in case of signal loss. In this case, I have them on return to home. On other occasions, if obstacles are present on the scene, it is better to set them to hover. Finally, we choose the start point. I choose to start at the first point, while on other occasions it might be preferable to start from the last point to save battery time. I tap the arrow on the left to return to the main window. The top of the window shows the resulting duration in seconds, the distance between the first and the last point, and the number of points. We can now save and name the mission through the small icon on the left. I tap Next on the right of the window and then Go. The aircraft moves to the first point and start the mission. As you can see, the movement is perfectly smooth and the transition between points flawless. Many users tend to use too many points, thus creating abrupt transitions. Better results are obtained by using only a few points. As you can see, light conditions are horrible and we can hardly see Mount Etna. But it is not a concern as the mission is saved in memory and we can perform it in better light conditions. On top of Mount Etna there are often interesting cloud formations, so I would like to modify the gimbal tilt in the last point to include a larger portion of the sky. To modify one or more points of a mission, tap the point to select. The small window shows a series of values relative to that point, including altitude, speed, camera orientation, gimbal tilt, gimbal roll, and zoom level. I select gimbal tilt and turn the value up by a few degrees. The gimbal roll is a new feature for DJI lightweight drones. I will show an example later on this video. In the same window, you can also set a camera action at that point to have the aircraft over for a specified number of seconds. When filming, set the camera action to start recording at the first point and stop recording at the last. The map on the lower left of the screen shows the path of the mission with the different points. Then I can wait for better light conditions and retrieve the saved mission. We are just after sunrise with nice soft shadows, and the extra tilt to the gimbal shows some interesting cloud formations above Mount Etna. Waypoint is so powerful that for many years was reserved for the flagship model of the DJI line. Here you can see a series of moves made with no more than 4 points that can also be achieved using Spotlight. Some may ask, why should we choose to use Waypoint? Well, there are two main advantages. The first one is to repeat the same mission in different conditions, with other exposure values or color profiles, in other seasons, or when the mission has to be repeated several times. The other reason to use Waypoint is that the mission can be fine-tuned by modifying the parameters for each point, until we reach the perfect flawless move. It can also be used to perform a dolly zoom. The gimbal roll is a new feature for DJI lightweight models and can be applied to a Waypoint mission. On rare occasions, we may need missions with more points, for example to follow the progress of a building site or to track a sport event. In this case, I want to follow this narrow road with a top-down view for a cycling event, so that I can repeat the same route for different competitors. I enter Waypoint mode and position the camera with a bird's eye view over the path to set the first point. Then I set a point about 20 meters before each turn, another one at the turn, and the third one 20 meters after, to achieve a smoother transition. I do the same for each twist of the road. After 3 turns and 11 points, I can save the mission. In the resulting clip, the transition of the turns is very smooth, but I would like to increase the speed. I would also prefer a closer view, but I cannot lower the aircraft altitude due to surrounding obstacles. A new feature of the Mini 5 Pro is the Matte Tele mode for a 2x zoom with limited loss of resolution. It can be applied to a Waypoint mission. I tap the first point, select the zoom icon and increase the value to 2x. I can then apply the same zoom value to all the points forming the mission. Finally, I increase the overall speed of the mission. Now I'm happy with the result. And I can wait for the competitors to arrive. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Mini 5 Pro. And don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.